Welcome back, everybody. You got Will and I-Man here from the Block Runner, MetaZone, and Rovi, and today we're going to be talking about the Verge, the Splurge.
Damn, you got it all mixed up now, dude.
Yeah,
really, it's post-merge and what's coming up next.
Yeah, there you go.
But yeah, with that comes like a slew of urges, I guess.
Yeah. The urge.
Yeah, and like, you know, when we first heard about this, you thought it was a total meme, as did I.
Yeah.
But turns out this is like actually like some serious shit, like coming from the man himself, right?
And here's proof.
Base God, dude. Vitalik
Buterin.
Yeah.
So Vitalik, happy birthday, Beacon Chain. Here's an updated roadmap diagram for where Ethereum protocol development is at and what's coming in what order.
Very nice.
So here we are. The merge just occurred about 24 hours ago.
Roughly.
Yeah. And then we have the Surge and the roadmap. We got the Verge, the Purge, and the Splurge.
Yeah, so I guess we're going to attempt to break down each of these individual phases to the map, because there's also another, I guess, prominent statement made by Vitalik himself. Like, once the merge happens, which it has, Ethereum is like in a 55%-ish completed state, which I don't think completed is the right word. I don't think Ethereum ever, like, finishes.
Yeah.
But I think I get to, like, an ideal state where, like, all the, the ideals of a very like sustainable, dependable ecosystem to act as that settlement layer for like the whole Web3 space potentially.
So that's a good point, because I don't think Ethereum will ever finish. But
well, is the internet finished? It might sound like the dumbest question ever. I don't know.
Is the internet finished?
I'm talking like on a protocol level.
God,
like,
that's a good question.
Done? Are there people like still coding the internet, contributing code?
That's a good question. I haven't really thought about that.
Yeah,
I would imagine it's not done. Just because, what if, remember that there's a point at which where everyone was selling 3D TVs?
Yeah,
remember that?
Yeah.
And like it flopped?
Total flop.
Well, maybe what happened if like 3D movies became like an actual protocol, that would have to be facilitated through the internet, and then it would have to add a new
adjustments.
Functionality. Yeah.
Well, so what, is there like a foundation for that? Probably, right? There definitely is.
Yeah,
it's just out of the public eye. Like,
yeah, because
I mean,
it's too nerdy.
Yeah, who cares?
Yeah.
As long as my apps work and I could see my, Instagram feeds and stuff, like I'm chilling, dude.
Right. All right, so let's talk about what all these like phases are and what they will do, and what it means for Ethereum to be at 55% complete.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big deal. ETH's the number 2 crypto in the world, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and there's whispers in the winds of a flippening at some point, maybe. Yeah. I don't know, maybe like a narrative of the upcoming cycles.
It's possible.
Yeah, now some of these changes, especially on the economic side, make it even more viable, right? So, we'll see.
All right, so let's talk about what the Surge is. So, Surge represents sharding technology and the blockchain's scalability. So, sharding is, I guess, Vitalik's way of representing a much more scalable Ethereum.
Yeah.
And so much more scalable that he envisions 100,000 transactions per second.
Sounds pretty juicy.
Yeah.
I mean, right now, it's probably what? Less than 1,000, right?
Yeah, hundreds of transactions per second.
Yeah, so I mean that's a huge upgrade. I think that's gonna help bolster, I guess, like the overall efficiency of Ethereum. But still, nonetheless, I don't think that's enough to like act as the end all be all transaction logger of like the entire Web3 space.
No,
right? That's
definitely
not enough, right?
Yeah. So just to give you perspective of what 100K transactions means, I think during Black Friday at its peak, Visa is doing 64,000 transactions per second.
And that's just one.
And that's just one network.
Processor.
Yeah. So you're right. I mean, if one processor is doing 64,000, what is MasterCard doing at that same time? 50,000, whatever it is?
And what was going on Facebook and Twitter and all these other different, platforms, ecosystems, like simultaneously?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a lot.
Yeah.
So
it's way more than 100K.
But luckily, Ethereum has like the craziest developer community. So like, all these layer 2 solutions have come about and they're being adopted, including by ourselves,
Yeah, we were watching Vitalik speak. I don't know when it was released, but we were watching him speak, and he said that layer 2 is good for the more like speed of development, iterating on ideas, and using a cost where development and cost is a lot less rather than putting it on the first layer.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good representation of the value of layer 1 versus layer 2.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's talk about the Verge. The Verge will continue with Ethereum developing an easy-to-use implementation of stateless clients and vertical trees for consensus and execution layers. So I think here is where he talks about it'll be an effective tool for assisting in the decentralization of ETH. So basically, anyone with ETH will now be able to be part of the validator node. And so this is a huge deal because right now, like Coinbase and like these huge aggregators of ETH, they're basically the validators of Ethereum.
Yeah.
And so they're contributing heavily to the security of the network, but it's highly centralized and, like you were saying, could be colluded.
Yeah, but the idea of now that I think Ethereum ecosystem community, they have a much better understanding of, you know, which ends of that blockchain trilemma that they need to prioritize.
Yeah.
The nature of a trilemma, meaning like you can't focus on all 3 points of a triangle.
You can try, but you'll never reach it. So it's like
at some point one's gonna like get fucked.
Decentralization, right? Speed, and security.
Basically,
when you build a network, you're trying to optimize for all 3.
Yeah,
but really you're focusing on 2,
and
mostly. Then you're sacrificing
or
the
one,
other.
like just going ham at one. But nonetheless, I think what's played out, because I remember that narrative starting in 2017. It was the whole like blockchain 3.0 narrative. It's like, dude, Ethereum's a dinosaur just like Bitcoin. It's proof of works. Yeah. It's a flawed system.
Yeah,
it can never scale. So here come like these, you know, new proof of stake chains that are much more concentrated. Yeah, much more centralized, but they're much more scalable and speedy, and they could build dApps on them, and users can actually like trade and not pay like insane fees, right? So they had like a lot of going for that sector, but now
so you're saying Ethereum is focused on decentralization and security, while others are focused on speed and potentially security.
Yeah, because I think Ethereum, like I said, through the course of what's happened back then till today, the community basically really stepped up in a big way.
Yeah,
and like bailed Ethereum out of like that dilemma in a sense. Like we're developing the solutions to like the second layer that's still appended to like
point.
Yeah, still appended to the what you should be prioritizing is the like absolute authority of being like the most dependable settlement layer in the whole Web3 space. And that means making it more efficient for anybody to participate in like validating, right?
Yeah.
So that's what all these adjustments or like feature updates are about.
Yes.
From what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
Right? It's just focusing on those tenets, right? So that way, as layer 2 continues to evolve, I mean, dude,
No, I totally agree. I mean, imagine where a point in time where an application, you purchase some ETH and you're storing ETH in your wallet and it automatically becomes a validator node.
Yeah.
Right. And so that would be the ideal situation so that we focus on decentralization.
Yep.
And then rather having ETH just sitting there, right?
Or rather having like, centralized actors like major
Coinbase.
Exchanges being the facilitators of that. Like you could distribute that to like any user. Yeah. Right? Like have your own wallet, own your own assets, but like also be contributing to the stability of the network, you know?
Yeah.
Why not?
All right, so the Purge. It's reduced the hard drive space required for validators on Ethereum with the aim of helping to eliminate historical data.
Yeah.
So I wrote a note here that I got from Vitalik. He says, today's blockchain is the equivalent of downloading BitTorrent and then also downloading all of the movies on that on everybody's hard drive. And so obviously that's not really sustainable because when you download BitTorrent and you want access to like a movie, you download the one movie that you need and then that's it.
Yeah.
And so in the future, the blockchain today, in order to become a validator node, you have to download the entire history, and it doesn't make sense. So in the future, you won't have to do that.
So they're gonna have to figure out like other solutions then, like who is gonna host all this historical information.
Well, I'm sure somebody will, for sure. But one of those like light clients, they won't need to download the entire history.
No, I'm just saying like in order for the purging, and that's part of the roadmap breakdown and all that. It's like the actual removal process, and like I guess still creating security around all that historical data, and then figuring out all the channeling of that historical information, like bringing it back whenever necessary, right? Like stuff like this.
Yeah.
And like, there's already, like the graph is a big facilitator in that.
You mentioned that.
He did. He said the graph like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, he said that everybody's using the graph, and he's like, that's good.
Yeah. Well, because it's going to help in this process, I think. It's going to help bring that stored information, not necessarily on like in the Ethereum, I guess, nodes.
Yeah, validator, yeah.
But somewhere else, but still, nonetheless, it's got to be on-chain present somewhere, right? So the graph will probably be the one to, like, streamline all this historical data.
So you're bullish on the graph then?
I am, dude. I always have been, but
the slow crab.
It's just freaking painful one, dude. But you know what? We're gonna have to make a new video on the graph and maybe like a new analysis, and might be a bigger opportunity than people realize.
Oh yeah,
especially at these prices. You know what I mean?
I totally agree.
Yeah.
All right, the Splurge. Buterin describes it as all the other fun stuff.
Nice.
The final upgrade, ACE, will target constant improvement of the Ethereum blockchain so as to ensure it runs more smoothly compared to the previous phases. So as a result, superior cryptographic technologies with quantum resistance and EVMs and zero-knowledge technology. So a lot of fancy words to basically, when he says fun stuff, it's like nerdy fun stuff. It's like, we're going to be quantum proof, quantum computing proof. ZK knowledge, where we're gonna have private transactions, all these like cool stuff.
Yeah.
So
I always wondered how long it was gonna take for the whole quantum, quantum inevitability to kind of like just get people in the crypto space, like, I guess, even aware of it.
Yeah.
I guess now's that time, if they're already preparing or having like a at some point milestone like to address it. Yeah.
No, yeah, man. It's like quantum computing. It feels like so future, but Google, all these like
it might not
are
be
working on it.
Yeah,
because like it's very similar to AI, where we knew it was coming, but all of a sudden now it's like accessible via a web page.
Yeah,
and like you can generate images based on like text, and leverage all these AI tools. I feel like quantum computing is gonna be very similar. Like if you need something computed quickly, you just connect to like Google's like web page and then get some computational data.
But why do we need to be resistant towards it? Like, what is it about quantum computing that like is a threat? From Vitalik's perspective, right?
The whole world, including cryptocurrency, they're living off of this technology called public and private keys.
Yeah.
And so that technology is based on cryptographic algorithms.
Okay.
And those cryptographic algorithms are represented by these alphanumeric strings. And so if someone can guess your alphanumeric string for your Ethereum address, your private key, or your Bitcoin wallet, your private key, they can spend your money. And so quantum computing can guess those things relatively quickly, right? In traditional computing, it would take millions of years, billions of years, maybe trillions of years for computers to guess your private key for Bitcoin or Ethereum.
Yeah. So in other words, not possible.
Yeah, it wouldn't be possible, right? So
you can't like add up like the juices of like a bunch of computers together to
even
like...
then it would take a galactic computer millions of years.
Okay.
Yeah. Like
so quantum computing is literally like that much of a leap. Like it's a ginormous one.
Yeah, big time. Okay. Yeah, because what would take billions of years, right, a galactic computer to guess your private key, it might take months for a quantum computer to do it.
So we might have to do like a deep dive, maybe podcast or maybe just a video like this.
Just like
I want to understand what the fuck?
Yeah,
what did they come up with to make this like so crazy? I don't know, dude. But yeah, that's interesting. But nonetheless, it's good for Ethereum that they're forward thinking enough to like see this as a potential future problem.
Yeah, and they have to, because I mean, $200 billion network, not thinking about these things.
It's true.
It's the equivalent of like Blockbuster not thinking about the internet.
Yeah, if they're expecting to become the settlement layer to what is inevitably going to become the metaverse, the future existence of a large segment of people.
Yeah.
Like they got a lot of work to do. So that's kind of like the whole point of all this, right? I mean, people might look at the charts and see, oh man, Ethereum, dude, it's expensive. It's I missed the boat.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Not really, dude. It still feels like we're pretty early days for this. Like it's like saying you missed the boat on the internet like in 1990 or something like that.
Right.
If you had the opportunity to like buy stock of the internet, would you have done it?
I would think I would, but
you never
it would be hard to kind of determine that. But yeah,
you definitely would have because you own ETH, don't you?
Yeah, that's true.
So, yeah, we definitely would have bought stock of the internet for sure.
Yeah.
So that's who knows what the growth potential of the ecosystem is, but clearly like there's a lot left.
Yeah, I mean, at 55% complete after the merge, there's still a lot of cool stuff to look forward to for Ethereum. I mean,
and all the things that it's enabling, right? Like I said, the more stable and the more efficient and like more economically sound it becomes, it's just going to boost confidence of the developer community surrounding it, right? Because most of the innovation comes from Ethereum. It's been proven over time. Everything, all the new DeFi, NFTs, everything, the metaverse, what else is cool out there? Stable coins.
Yeah.
All this shit originates from the Ethereum ecosystem.
That's right. That's right.
And then it gets replicated amongst the rest. But until that changes, it's got to be Ethereum we pay attention to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In my opinion.
You're right. That's where all the innovation we've seen so far. And, and it just gets replicated in all these other chains.
Correct. And it's not saying it's the best technical model, right? Polkadot might be a superior technical model for I don't know, just ecosystem stability. But as we know, it's not always the best tech that wins, right?
No, it's not.
There's other factors. Yeah.
Yeah. And then finally in this article, they talk about how Ethereum will be deflationary. And so with EIP 1559, where every transaction has a piece of the gas fee burnt.
Yep.
Then in addition to that, I think Vitalik was talking about how the rate of new Ethereum gets reduced with this merge update.
That's right.
And I think the equation was like 166 times the square root of deposits.
Total deposits, right? Over a year?
Total deposit over the year. And so this is what the chart would look like for kind of like the flow of new ETH. And eventually, if you extrapolate this completely, there's going to be 8 billion users on Ethereum, right? If we extrapolate, right?
Yeah.
And so with 8 billion users, there wouldn't be more deposits beyond that, right? Because that's
tapped out.
You've kind of tapped out, even though every year there's going to be new ETH, right? It's going to reach an asymptote.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very similar to the asymptote for like the rate of inflation of a Bitcoin, all the way to 2140, right? That's going to be the max cap of Bitcoin. That reaches like a certain cap there, and then the value starts to taper off as well.
Yeah, so we're gonna need some like real experienced economists to chime in on like the differences between these two, I guess, monetary policies.
Yeah, and to think that potentially with enough transactions happening on the Ethereum network, there could be an actual deflation happening because the rate of new Ethereum is less than the rate of burning.
I like that. I like the actual value that's being produced within the ecosystem being like the main force of determining force of like, basically inflation or deflation within like the overall economy, right? Like, so if the ecosystem's not producing enough value, there's not enough activity, there's less deposits, so therefore,
less value.
Yeah, or therefore increased supply of Ethereum, so therefore like a lower price, like things like this. It might balance itself out just based on the actual value being produced, right?
Yeah.
Not some exterior force, pulling levers and such. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's very interesting. So like again, I think this is going to contribute to the flippening debate that's I'm almost certain is going to like show its head at some point with the next year or two, maybe 3 years.
Yeah, I was listening to Ethereum maximalists, and they were talking about their progression of like ideologies. Like they used to be on the Bitcoin train, and now they're on the Ethereum train. Oh, and but there's just more use cases for Ethereum, so it makes sense. And like Bitcoin's like
Bitcoin's,
ultimate ultimate goal, it takes a lot of belief, and it takes a lot of buy-in from like countries. And
it's true.
And so it's kind of harder to kind of believe if you're looking at it from the Ethereum's perspective, but nonetheless, it is interesting. All right, well, that covers the future of Ethereum, and
we'll definitely be keeping up with it without a doubt. We have been, and we're not going anywhere. So, there's always something interesting going on the ETH side. But yeah, we do want to venture out and still, what's going on in Cosmos?
Yeah, Solana,
Avalanche. What's happening out there? So yeah, stay tuned. We'll be identifying all of that in the future.
Yeah, and make sure you like and subscribe, and follow us on Twitter at The Block Runner, at MetaZone.io, and at Rovi AI, and we will catch you in the next video.
Peace.